6 months, and then went on to New York, playing there until New Year's Day of 1809, when our permanent location was ready in Philadelphia, a fine brick structure. And with the flagpole on the top, it was the tallest in all the city. At 9th and Walnut, and mind you, it still stands. Now, we held the stars until the second act. But just as we were about to begin, a fat Canadian wandered out of the audience, mounted a horse, and began to ride round the ring. He lurched and he bounced until bits of clothing and padding began to fall away to reveal none other than Blanchard. And then, at full speed, I launched myself from horseback through a barrel, landing safely on the other side, a feat never before seen in the United States. Now, for Washington's birthday, there was a grand ball, followed by our production of Don Quixote. And then in March, I married. And 1 year later, my son was born, Victor Adolphus Pepin Jr. Now, we brought on slapstick with the brother Miller. The next year it was farce. In 1812 we brought Sheridan's The Rivals, and President Thomas Jefferson and the Marquis de Lafayette himself were there on opening night. It was a fine time. Wonders to be seen. Oh, we even brought melodrama. I was the villain. And then we introduced Shakespeare to America with The Winter's Tale. But when the War of 1812 was declared, we closed on the 4th of July. The next year, the heart had gone out of the theater. Try as we might, it would have gone to auction, but there was no one to buy. Then Perry had his victory on Lake Erie, and we produced a version of this spectacle for all to see. Next, it was Harrison at the Battle of the Thames. But Blanchard was determined to leave Philadelphia. In 1814, with the threat of invasion along the coast and the naval blockade, we determined to take the circus over the mountains to Pittsburgh, the first circus west of the Alleghenies. Pittsburgh, even Cincinnati. And our fears were not unfounded, because in August, the British burned Washington City, and the advance was not stopped until they reached the harbor at Baltimore. But peace was being declared. General Jackson fought the Battle of New Orleans on the 8th of January in 1815, and I left for Europe alone. Returning to Philadelphia, I brought new talent and engaged the entire James West troupe for the season. Great times. We produced a hippodrama, Timur the Tartar, showing that now our horses could act as well as the humans. But with the panic of 1819, prospects were dim, and with a final benefit to showcase my talents, I left the theater I had built decades. By 1821, I was in New Orleans, taking shows all the way to Natchez. And then with the steamboat, we plied farther on, even to Louisville. wintered in Lexington. We remounted the Tartar to great success. Then, in the spring, it was farther on to Pittsburgh. Now there I opened a riding school. One night, a horse shied. One of the pupils took my hand. She wrote such sweet letters. When I was accused of trying to seduce her, a mob formed, a shot was fired, a man was killed, and we resorted to the safety of the jail. By the next year, I was appealing to the public on behalf of my wife and children still in Philadelphia, but I returned to Louisville. The following year, in 1826, Madame Brochard followed me, but only to ask for divorce. Mr. Westbay testified that I had been having an affair with a lady circus rider. But mark you, Madame Pepin soon became Mrs. Westbay. Our daughter, my sister, married her circus man. He was accused of murder and excused himself to the bottle. Mr. Westbay testified for her as well. She remarried in 1831 and has blessed me with numerous grandchildren since. That same year I returned to Philadelphia, and there, as the founder of the theater, I was given a grand benefit. Appearing on my behalf was even the famous actor Junius Brutus Booth. But my adventures were not yet over. Indeed, in 1834, John Charles Beale was granted the rights to the 55 million acre colony, the Rio Grande colony in Mexico. And that year found us on foreign soil, where we founded the village of Dolores, named for his wife. About 2 years later, the Alamo fell, and with it, our hopes fell. In Louisville once again, the fog and Stickney surface. That circus gave me a benefit. But by this time, my son, Victor Pepin, Esquire, had become the cashier for the State Bank of Indiana here in New Albany. And he became my true victim. So, here I was, nearing 60 years of age, and sir, can you believe I still found it in my heart to charm the heart of one more woman? She was young, and she was beautiful, the niece of that famous jurist here, Judge Seth Woodruff. Lucette Woodruff became a wonderful bride that year of 1840, when she wed my son, Victor. Perhaps reluctantly, they took me and surely indulged me those next 5 years. But I was born in Albany, New York, died in New Albany, Indiana, so my life has been a full circle. The cycle has moved on. The circuit is closed. But it was a circle. It was a circus!